we all go through whatever we're going through right now. We're already like part conversation, guys. um, Whatever we're all going through right now is on purpose and by design.
Mhm.
And as sucky as it is, and I say that with a lump in my throat because I go through a lot of things myself. And in order to be able to help the woman behind me, I got to go through it myself so I can understand what it's like
Wow.
being there. And it's very, very important for all of us to communicate,
Mhm.
use your words. I tell this to my kids all the time. They struggle just like we do. They
Yeah.
do. There is a few years difference if you really think about it. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50-year difference between parents and kids sometimes. But they struggle with the same things we do. We all struggle to get our feelings and thoughts out and help the other person understand us more what we're trying to say. And and this is one of the reasons why so many of us have learned to be quiet and stay in pain and suffer through it or power through it, right?
Right. Mhm.
And
Through it, grow through it. Yeah, work
yeah,
through it.
but we don't have to do it alone. This is what we forget way too often, that we don't have to go through it alone. And even better, we are not going through it alone. We're not the only ones that are suffering with this, suffering through this, growing through this, powering through this, going through it, walking through it, running through it, whatever you call it, experiencing. Whatever we're experiencing, we're not the only ones who are experiencing it right now or ever. There's always so many other women and men and children that could be feeling and going through and experiencing the same things that you are. And it's important to talk about it. And the reason why is because then you're able to, you practice self-expression first and foremost. And this is something all of us need. We all need to practice that. We all need to do that. And I realize I'm like, we should have been recording this because it's helpful, but we'll just start wherever we're at.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
So hello, everybody. Bethany and I already started on Facebook Live. We chatted for a little bit. So if you want to watch that part, you can have to go and watch the Facebook Live. But so really quick, my name is Yana Kasperczak, and I am a mompreneur who has struggled with a lot of things, have learned a lot of things, and am now helping with people with the things that I have struggled with, things that I have gone through, things that I've experienced, things that I have knowledge on. And this is where we're talking about before is when the reason why we are going through things and struggling through things is because it is by purpose and on purpose and by design. Okay, that you are meant to go through this so you can then learn how to grow through it and overcome it, and therefore you then come out of this dirty pit with a bunch of tools that you can now help others with. Now, in order for that to happen, it's important to communicate. We were given a gift of speech, and too often we forget the importance of our gifts and we put them on shelves and put them away because we learned over our lifetime that it's best to just keep it to ourselves, that nobody's going to understand us, nobody's going to hear it, nobody's going to sympathize. We are alone in this, and I'm here to tell you that we are not, that we are so much more alike, and way too many ways that you can't even possibly comprehend perhaps at this point, or you have already comprehended and you are trying to deal with the comprehension because it's a lot. And the importance of communication, that the person that is a few steps ahead of you, that has gone through this, that has the tools, that has the knowledge, they can't help you unless you express to them that you need help and what kind of help you need.
Yeah.
And that the only way to do that is through communication. And the only way to learn how to communicate or become a better communicator is through practice. Unfortunately, that's the only way. There are no ways around it. I know there might be some people that will tell you you can go and meditate and you'll gain this knowledge, and I believe that. But the thing is, in order for you to use that knowledge, you still have to practice, and you have to practice maybe less times, but you still have to practice that skill until you get to that point that you're comfortable with. And there, like, also giving you a few ways of how to use that. Now, today we're going to be talking about how to start the process of forgiveness and letting go, so you can start healing. Because this is something that so many of us are avoiding doing, or don't fully understand how it happens, that there is this delusion, and I'm going to use this word because this is the word that was used with me, and it hurt me. And in order for the message to get through, we need to experience some pain. So unfortunately, I do have to give a little bit, a few jabs here and there, and I've used to do it before, and then I started feeling bad about how people would receive it, and those people that have received it, they've grown from there since then. So the delusion that we have is that this is like the most beautiful delusion that we have, that I myself had, that I can sit down in my beautiful meditation spot or outside and decide that now I am going to let go of the things that are not serving me. And I can list those things. I'm going to let go of all of them. And I'm going to forgive this person and this and this and that. And that through this meditation, all of that will disappear. It doesn't happen like that. It doesn't. Bethany, would you like to tell them why it doesn't happen like that? I don't want to be the only bad guy.
Well, what I would like to say for it, because really, like, it's just, that's not the way it works. You got to, so practice makes progress, I like to say. And in order, like you were saying, in order to be able to help others, you have to experience it. You have to. That's just the way it is. And there's this story that I wanted to bring up. So let's say, so I have this glass of water here. I have this glass of water. I'm not sure now, how much would you say this weighs?
Well, I don't think I'm a good person to answer, because I will go logical in this.
So with this, it's a little less than 32 ounces of water. Now, as I'm holding it out here and I'm grasping it, I'm holding it, it gets heavier, but the weight in the glass is still the same. But because I'm holding on to it and grasping it, it's becoming heavier and heavier and heavier. But the minute I set it down, oh, I'm lighter. There's no heaviness in my arm anymore. I let it go. And that's the same thing with old traumas and past experiences and triggers that are holding us back. We're holding on to it. We're grasping it. We're resisting the let go. And the minute you let it go, that's when you get that feeling of being lighter and brighter, but it takes time. It's not an over the night thing. It's just not possible, because if that was the case, then we would all be at this place of I guess, like enlightened being where we wouldn't have things to work through, we would be all the same. So really in the same with letting go, it makes us unique because we all have different letting go practices, ways of letting go. One thing that I think the best one is, we've talked about it before, is the gift of breath. The breath work is going to be the biggest tether for letting go and release, because all in all, when you're holding your breath, you're grasping it, you're not letting it go, you're not letting it flow. And when you let it go and flow and you breathe, you get that same sense of, like with that glass, it's not as heavy, it's lighter, it's brighter. You feel like you can, I can do stuff now, you feel more empowered. So as much as I would like to say that, it could happen overnight, no, it takes time. It takes consistency. It takes commitment. It takes working through the shit, working through that hard stuff to, digging yourself out of that hole and seeing the bigger picture of it all. Like you talked about one of the weeks of, like, having that image of like the person in red in front of you, and you're not seeing the bigger picture around. You're just focusing on that one thing. But when you stop and you look around, it's like, whoa, there's so much more to this. And that's also what you can do with letting go and forgiving yourself, I feel like.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I really want to say thank you for that visual example of what letting go and forgiveness actually is like. And what I got from that, and that's why I didn't want to answer, because my answer would have been, it depends how long you hold it and how far out you hold it and which direction and how you hold it. See, because I understand that, and that's why I'm like, nope, not answering it. Because I would have taken that away. And I wanted people to really hear everything. And what I got from that is the reason why people hold that glass, that experience, that memory, that pain and suffering, that discomfort, consciously or unconsciously. Most people are doing it unconsciously. And in order for us to fully let go, we need to become conscious of it enough times to then let go of it, which basically means that you need to have enough realizations. And the example Bethany and I were talking about before we went live, before we started recording, was, it's like when you're hitting your head against a brick wall, you need to hit your head against a brick wall enough times for you to fully understand all you need to, because it's going to be a little different for everyone, but all you need to understand is, and finally realize, that this is a brick wall, that there's nothing you can do with it, that you're not going to bash through this brick wall with your head. And sometimes that is what we, and essentially that's actually what it is. Like when we are holding on to things, when we're holding on to that glass of water, whatever it is for you, okay, if you want to share with us what that glass of water is for you right now, something that you are struggling to let go and you've been wanting to let go, please share it with us below in the comments. I would love to hear what your struggle is. We all have more than one, but there's one that yells at us very often that we need to deal with. And when we continue to try to let go, we will eventually let go, because we will, by in the art of trying, what happens is we get enough realizations, enough knowledge, enough wisdom, enough intuitive hits that will allow us to get to a place where we finally are able to let go. Now, how can you tell if you finally have let go? Bethany was talking about breath. Breath is a great way to check if you've actually let go. Now, that's something that you can do yourself if you know your breath enough, or somebody that knows your breath. And the reason why I say that is because you can do this little exercise, trick, let's call it, where you think of whatever it is that you've been wanting to let go. Maybe you have a list and you just want to go down the list. I want you to sit with each one and feel it. And you'll know if you let go or not. Because when you let go, you would experience total and complete joy. There would be no attachment to it. And you would feel, there would be like a sense of proudness and fulfillment. You know what I mean? So if you don't feel that, then you have not let go. Right? That's another way to measure. It doesn't necessarily have to be breath, but your breath will change. Now, when Bethany was talking about that glass, again, what popped into my mind was that the reason why we hold on to that is because that glass is a sense of our identity. It's, for some, it might be a huge part that they're not even aware of what makes them them, what makes me me. And my fear of letting go of that is this: who am I without this? Can I survive? Because the brain goes, I'm going to die if I let go of it. It makes up who I am. And that could be the reason why a lot of the things we hold on to is because this is our identity. I do not know who I'm going to be without it. And I need it. And I am terrified of who I would be without it, because there's a lot of unknowns. So that's what I would say is the biggest reason why we hold on to things, why we hold grudges. Some of us hold grudges, other of us don't. I have never held a grudge. I don't even know how to. Somebody would have to teach me. And even then, I would not want to learn that lesson because I don't see a benefit in it. Maybe because I haven't experienced it. But my understanding of it is this: is when we hold a grudge, and all of us have heard this phrase where it's like when we hold a grudge, what we're really doing is we're drinking that poison and we're expecting the other person to die. So in other words, the reason why I've never held a grudge is because I didn't like how it made me feel. Some people drink and they don't like how it makes them feel, so they'll never drink again. Some people smoke, don't like how it makes them feel, so they don't do it again. Well, others, they continue to do it because it's usually for somebody else, right? None of us really drink for ourselves. Let's be honest here, okay? Let's put it all on the table. None of us just start smoking just because we really like it or really enjoy the taste of it and everything. None of us do that. Very few might. I have yet to meet them that like the taste of vodka or taste of a cigarette, right? I have yet to meet those people, but it was always social situations, always something to do with social status or social, right? To fit in. So something that started as something innocent became something who we are, and that for many people is also one of the things that they want to let go and move past and heal and forgive themselves for, you know, going against their intuition. But none of us like that taste, right? But we continue, so we acquire that taste. So same thing goes for this phrase popped into my mind. It's like, does she know what she's doing? Like when somebody's being mean or hurtful or bitchy, we always think, is she even aware of she's doing, how she's coming across? And the response to that is yes and no. And this is what my husband hates. It can't be yes and no. Yes, it can. A lot of things are yes and no. There is yes or no. That's a politician right there. Yes or actually, again, some will argue that politician doesn't take sides. Anyways, the reason why I say yes is because at a certain point in her life, she was aware that she was becoming bitchy, she was being rude or obnoxious, but she moved past it. She moved past the discomfort, and that became her. So therefore, she's no longer aware of how that makes people feel because she moved past it and she moved the attachment to it. So in a way, we can use that scenario, that example, in helping us to let go.
Yeah, definitely. And I have a just a personal thing that I've been going through. So through life, I've held on to insecurity because that's all I knew. I didn't know what confidence was. I just, for me, it was like, well, this is who I am. Like you talked about, like the glass of water. Well, that insecurity, that's who I am. Who am I without it? And going through life coaching with you and learning different techniques and all that kind of stuff, I came to the realization the other side is confidence. And I want that confidence. I don't want that insecurity anymore. And the end of last month, coming into this month, insecurity was starting to play it for me a little bit more. And to the point where I went outside and I just like yelled at the sky, like, I am tired of, hitting my head on this wall. I am tired of it because I know I have confidence. I know I'm confident. And it all comes down to me letting go of that old picture of who I thought I was and to know who I am, because I know who I am now. And back then I had no idea who I am or who I was. And now I know. And it came down to me really just doing the self-love, doing the self-care, doing that work and letting it go. And now I can say with this insecurity, like now I'm actually proud of myself for working through all that stuff. And before I would have been so ashamed, like, oh my gosh, like I was insecure, like, you're pathetic. Like, how can you be that way? But now I'm like, well, I wouldn't be on this end of confidence if I didn't feel that insecurity and have that deep sense of insecurity. And now I can take what I learned, and sure, I'm still going to have things that arise because I'm not breakable, but I can be shaken. And that shakenness and the times when the insecurity comes up, I can now rewire, reframe to be like, wait, no, this is who I am. I know I'm confident. I am a magical warrior unicorn. Like, those are not insecure. Those are powerful and unique, have passion, this and confidence. And so and how I got there is I had to feel it. I had to sit down and feel it. I had to feel the feelings. And me going outside at the end of last month and finally being so fed up with myself for running into the same problem and like not seeing my potential, I cried. I did a release technique where I like to go, what's mine is mine, what's theirs is theirs, return to sender. I cut these cords. I don't want it anymore. It's not me. And at the end of it, I sang, I did some dancing, I walked around. But at the end of it, I felt secure with myself. I felt confident. I felt strong. I felt like, I actually acknowledged myself as well. I felt the feelings instead of just pushing them to the side like I've done in the past. Oh, that makes you like this person that you don't want to be. Well, I'm going to continue to be that person I don't want to be unless I acknowledge it and work through it. And so that's where I am today. Like, sure, I'm going to have moments where something pops up and I might feel a little insecure, but I know deep down that's not who I am anymore. And I have the tools to push past it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And those of you that might not have seen the big picture of what Bethany just described is she struggled with something that all of us do, insecurity. This is something that is in our blood, that we've been carrying generation after generation after generation. Okay. For some of us, it's easier to separate ourselves, who we are, and then our past journeys, right? The blood that we carry right now has come from somewhere, and it got tainted over how many lifetimes, and here we are now trying to cleanse ourselves and heal ourselves. So we're working through all of these things that most people fear, terrified of working through. And Bethany is expressing to you just how possible all of this is, and makes it sound like a piece of cake. It definitely isn't.
Yeah.
Right? But then again, a piece of cake tastes good in the beginning, but what it does is really shitty to the body. Whereas this is the other way around. It tastes really shitty, but then what it does to the body, it's like it's the opposite. And most of us would choose a piece of cake instead of dealing with shit. And I do not blame you for it. I would choose dealing with, with piece of cake any day. But knowing what I know, that by continuing to choose the easy path and resisting the work that allows me to let go, that allows me to move on, that allows me to forgive, that allows me to become that version of myself that I dream of and fear of, because of a lot of unknowns that come with it. Where we are now, as shitty as it might be, it's very comfortable. And that's why most people don't want to change, because it's comfortable. Even if it feels uncomfortable, there's comfort in knowing everything you know now. Anything new added, the whole equation changes. And recalculating this equation, the more realizations you have, the more you work through it, it continues to recompute. It's always recalculating, or cannot compute, and the system can crash, and we can find ourselves in a place where we feel worse than we were before. But we've all heard this phrase as well, that it gets worse before it gets better, that the storm will pass. And what you're in right now is the actual storm. And when and then the eye of the storm, where everything is like quiet as you're getting to that next storm. And we need to pass through enough of these storms for us to come on the other side and be healed. We need to bang our head on the brick wall enough times for us to come out on the other side, walk around this wall and say, why was I banging my head on this wall when I could have just walked around it? Right? That there are shortcuts to this. And I'll share a shortcut with you at the end. Now, I don't want you to use the shortcut for everything, because it simply won't work. You got to use it for one thing. So one of the things I will also share, so what Bethany was saying is, and then what she did, she had her realization, and then in order to get to the next stage, she changed her physiology. That means moving around, going somewhere, going for a walk, dancing, screaming, even doing that meditation. I think I sent to you, Bethany, where I was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Like, if you need to do that and just get that out, if you need to scream into a pillow, whatever it is that you feel like doing in that moment, do it. Sometimes it might be crying, and that's what you need to do. And sometimes it can come through, you want to cry and you don't know why. Don't need to ask why. Just start crying. And as you're crying, just listen for the why, right? And then you embrace your experience, Bethany. Like, this is what it is. I embrace it, and then you work through it. And it doesn't happen at the one go, especially with something like insecurity. This is something so deeply ingrained into each and every one of us. And if it's not, you wouldn't be watching this. Let's be honest. So that's why those of you that are watching this, it is deeply ingrained in you. And
Right.
It might feel like there's nothing you can do about it, but that feeling is temporary as well. Because I can guarantee you've had moments where you had so many realizations and so much power that you knew there was something you can do about it. But whether you did something with it or not, that's for you to, you want to share it with us or not, go ahead. But if you didn't, do it now. And if you did, great, continue to do that. And one of the realizations, so one of the things that I was talking to Bethany, sometimes we have days when we have more than one realization, when these realizations, these aha moments, like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't see this before, where they just keep coming and coming and coming and coming. And there's like, you just have one and then it's another. And it feels like a train wreck that's being stretched out, and all of a sudden you start to see that train for what it was and what's left of it, and then you got to deal with it. So we all either have gone through it or will go through it, and for some of us it can happen more often than once. It does for me. Whenever I have realizations, it's very rarely just one. It used to be just one, but once you open that door, it like the floodgate comes through. So for me, it was on Thursday. And one of the biggest realizations that I had, that it's not just me, that it's a lot of us that do this. But I will use my example. When we are building our dream, for me, my dream is Empath Unicorn Academy, of what it looks like. Because right now it's in its infancy stages, and infants need a lot of care. And which means I gotta be there 24/7, and it's extremely draining and extremely exhausting. And this is one of the biggest reasons why some stages they last longer, right? And some stages they're kind of mixed together, and that in order to get to the next one, I have to go through this one. And in order for me to help others behind me, I have to go through this. So the biggest realization for me was this, that I've been feeling like a total failure as a coach when I don't do things that I want to do for myself. Like, I'm going to repeat it again. I've been feeling like a total failure as a coach when I don't do the things that I want to do for myself. I'll give you an example. When I sleep in the morning, instead of I wanted to wake up early, I feel like I failed as a coach. When I miss a meal, when I miss a meditation, when I take too long to walk the dog, or you know what I mean? When my personal life is attached to my identity as a coach, when they don't particularly, they go hand in hand, but one has almost nothing to do with the other. My ability as a coach has very little to do, and yet it does have a lot to do with my personal life and how I'm living it. And I say that because there are coaches who are not working on themselves and trying to help people, and they do a lot of damage to their clients because they bring they do not know how to detach and not bring themselves into a coaching session, right? Whereas I've gone through training, through school and on my own, to completely detach. So when I am coaching, my personal life, like there is nothing in there of my personal life. I have nothing to do with, did I wake up in the morning or on the time that I said I did, or did I snooze and did I go back to sleep, right? It doesn't have that much to do with what I do. You know what I mean? Does it affect it? Yes, it can affect it. But that's why it's important to get ready for each call in a certain way where you are detaching and releasing, and then you go in as this is just about that individual or the group of individuals. So a lot of us, the reason why I talk about it is because a lot of us, we do that. We put everything that we have failed at, and I'm trying to find the right words, like proper fancy words, but I can't. And we basically become that identity with everything, right? When we are feeling in one part of our life, it's present to everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm going with that? And that it's important to deal with that part as well as the attachment that it has on the other, right? So which means that if I am punishing myself and beating myself up and saying that I'm a shitty coach because I sleep in, because I'm going against my my beliefs in a way, and it goes against who I am, it goes against my values. So that's why I feel like I'm failing as a coach, because I am not because I'm not perfect, right? That's really what it comes down to. That in order for me to be a coach, I need to be perfect and I need to have everything together and then become a coach. Now, that is unrealistic, because then I would also say, in order for me to be, uh, a manager of the bank, that I needed to do enough schooling, enough learning, so I know exactly what I need to do and then go be manager of the bank. That's not the case. In order for me to become manager of the bank, nobody just becomes one. I've been at the bank and I know that nobody just becomes one, not having gone through certain experiences, certain stages, certain positions that will help you to be the best that you can be. And the same thing goes for those coaches out there, those consultants out there, those network marketers out there that I work with, those mompreneurs. Small business is a small business, whether you're a coach, consultant, or you have a physical product, or you make a product, right? At the end of the day, you're selling a product or a service, and we attach too much to it. And it can have a negative effect, and then there's a lot of assumptions that build around it, a lot of interpretations, which can lead into different parts of our life. So the reason why I say that is you gotta stop it on the tracks before right? Choose which wolf you want to feed, because you have two wolves always in front of you. Do you want to feed the wolf, that is going to never both of them are always going to be hungry, but do you want to feed that wolf that is continuing to keep you small, or do you want to feed the wolf that will allow you to grow, which is towards your dreams, towards your desires, towards the things that you actually want, or the other one that will just give you fear and anxiety and panic and doubt and isolation, right? So which wolf?
Yeah, right. And after you said all that stuff, which is all beautiful, and it also shows that even though you're a coach and you're still human, you still deal with everything, but it shows me as an outsider, okay, but you've dealt with a lot of stuff, so you got this experience behind you, so now, and you have those tools attached, so you can help lead other people to find their best version of themselves and to help find those tools that make them them. And I think the main thing with the insecurity that we talked about, or I really talked about, and you put in some input too, but it's finding who you are. When you're insecure, if you find out who you are and you like that person, then the insecurity doesn't really stick too well, because that that's not who you are, and you don't need to associate yourself with that. And it's a natural thing. It's a flag. Use it as a flag instead of your identity. Find out who the real you are. And, you did the best that you could at the time with what you knew then. Now you have a new set of tools and medicine. So why go back to the past if you're here now in the present with all this new information that will just help expand you instead of drain you? It goes along with the wolf reference, you know? Like, do you want it to drain you, or do you want to go for the one that expands you? I always want to go for the one that expands me. If that means I got to go through the dirt, the mud to get there, I will do that. And I forgive myself. And I think that's what it also comes down to as well, is that forgiveness, you know, not holding it against yourself and loving yourself.
Yeah. You gotta stop bullying yourself. Because that's what we do. We are the biggest bullies to ourselves. And then when somebody else bullies us, we don't like it. We fight back. So why is it that it takes something outside of us to shift and change, to finally find our bark and finally find our bite, when we have had this bully inside of us since day one, and we fold to him or her, we submit to him or her, and yet when it's like when you see injustice, I highly doubt you're going to sit there and take it and allow it to happen. I think you're going to be like, you're going to fight. You will, one way or another, you're going to fight. But why is it that when you see the injustice inside yourself, that you actually don't even see it? It's, we're blinded by it because nobody really talks about the bullying that we do to ourselves. But that is the voice of the gremlin. That is the inner critic. That's how people talk about it. But nobody uses the word bullying. But that's the word that should be used, that we are bullying ourselves. We are beating ourselves up. Like the perfect example of me feeling like I failed as a coach and saying to myself, oh, you're a shitty coach because you slept in. Nobody's going to want to work with you, Yana, because you slept in. You can't keep to your word. You say you want to change, and yet I don't see the change. You wake up in the morning and your body hurts, your foot hurts. Well, I'm not going to talk about that, but I'll talk about that. I have aches and pains. I live with plantar fasciitis. My heel of my foot hurts. So some mornings it's painful to walk. Some mornings I still have anxiety, which a lot of us live with nowadays, right? Or they're saying that the numbers haven't changed, but just more people are talking about it. So thank you for talking about it. It's important for people to actually get that off our chest. That's a process of letting go. When you go to Alcoholics Anonymous, I've never been, but I've heard it's in a lot of shows as well. One of the first things they do is they want you to admit it. Admit you have a problem. I'm going to ask you to admit that you have a problem with bullying, that you are a bully, or part of you is a bully. And the other part is a pushover. Really, because why do I say that? Is because a bully will bully a pushover, and the pushover will take it. You're going through this every day on your own, doing this to yourself. So stop bullying yourself. I know it's easier said than done. I still continue to work with my bully, with my gremlin, whose name is Tiny, and so do you. All of us do it. Every single day, we got to stand up for ourselves because nobody else will do that for us. And many of us have done that most of our life, where we stood up for ourselves and we didn't even realize what we were doing. And we felt great and proud of ourselves. And then all of a sudden, you come to a place where you feel like a total failure in everything and anything that you do and touch. Even the sheer waking up in the morning and breathing feels like a failure because I breathed the wrong way. Or I got off my bed with the right foot instead of the left, or left foot instead of the right. We start to, pick on our little promises to ourselves as well. And that is what the bully does. That is what the gremlin does. Its job is to keep you small and keep you safe, because you cannot get hurt when you stay small. When you, right, when you do not grow. So, Bethany, I'm going to ask you a question. When, and I want you to give me a realistic answer, use the analytical side. When are you going to stop your bully from bullying you?
Well, sometimes it takes me time, but I've gotten into the practice of reframing personally. But before, in the past, I wouldn't even acknowledge it. I would just, okay, I would take it, just take it as, like, as you said, like a pushover. But going through the work now and practicing self-care and self-love now, like when the bullying starts, I acknowledge it, I accept it, and then I reframe it to something that's more loving, to the story I want to hear.
Yeah, and it takes practice. And I use these words because they're loud. Word pushover is so loud. People pleaser is so loud. Bully is so loud. And I use these loud words because I want you all to finally hear. I want you to hear me and what I've been saying quietly. And that I also have been listening to that voice that has been telling me, be nice, be polite, say nice things. Don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Well, here I am saying nice things in a little bit of a hurtful way to some, but it's on purpose and by design. Because in order for us to finally get it, somebody has to give us a slap so we can say, you fucking beep, right? Just say, how dare you say that? I am not a pushover. No, I'm not. Right now, you're not. Because right now, you're finding that fire to fight for yourself and say, I'm not that. But evidence is there. And I say it from my own experience, and I'm saying it from experience of my clients, where we've all come to a very humbling point where we realize that that we've been humbled, and it hurts because some of us might be still on a little bit of that pedestal where we are in a way worshiping ourselves, or worse, worshiping somebody else, and we don't realize it. And we need to have a brick thrown at us. And I might have thrown a few bricks into your glass house, and it might have shattered, or it might have broke a floor. You ended up on a different floor. And that sucks and that hurts. Or maybe you heard everything and you're like, yep, up until this point. And even though you feel that flutter and everything, that it makes sense to you. And to me, both of them are indicators that you're ready to work on yourself, right? Whether you are in level 3, where you're rationalizing, you're like, yep, it makes sense, I get it, or you're level 2, and you just want to stand up for yourself and fight for yourself, still means you're ready and you're moving on. There's no moving up or down, but you're moving on to the next step, and then the next step, and the next step, and the next step, right? So wherever you are in your journey, you're ready for it. And I'll continue to say it. How do you know you're ready? You know you're ready when the opportunity is in front of you, when you've had that aha moment, when you've had that realization where you considered it. That means you're ready when it's in front of you. So now that it's in front of you, I know most of you or all of you can't answer me this, but I want you to answer this to yourself. If you want to share it with me, go right ahead. I would love that. But now that this is in front of you of what you want to work on, what is your very first step in working through it? I'm not asking you for the whole thing, no other steps. Just think of one first step that you are going to take towards working through it today. Not tomorrow, not Friday, not next week, today. Because I want you to stop putting things off. This is a really bad habit that all of us have. And I know all of us have this habit because we're humans. We all have this habit of putting things off to do later. Whether it's something that's, oh, that's easy, I'll do it later. Or, I don't want to deal with it now, I'll deal with it later. For whatever reason, or I don't have time now, right? Depending, whatever story you're carrying, putting things off. We have to put some things off to do later because we only have so many hours in a day. But it's important to evaluate, what is it that you're putting off, and if it's worth it, right? Prioritizing. And I see this in my kids as well. And I see this in everyone I work with. Sorry, ladies. But all of you have this. You put things off, and I'll do it later. I'll do it later. And most often, it's something that is hard, or actually something that feels hard because you're not that good at it.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
You want to be perfect.
There's a lot of things that I did in the past with that. And then once I would do it, I'd be like, oh my gosh, why did I put it off? Like, that was so much easier than I thought. And it's getting over that fear of the unknown too, you know, that's because that will paralyze some people. And sometimes it paralyzes me, but I'm learning to just push past the limit. And every day something new will come up, and I just continue to push past it. And then I finish it, and it's like, whoa, I did it, you know. And then it helps fuel you to the next thing, because you can remember that one experience that you pushed past the limit, you did it, and you can remember that feeling. That's why I like journaling, because I can go back and look at it and be like, how did I feel? Oh, wow, I felt like that. Oh, okay, I want to feel that way again. So then I do it. I just do it.
Yeah. So when you ask yourself the question, why did I put it off? Did you spend the time in hearing the response?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, so what was it?
It was mainly the fear of the unknown, what's, you know, what could happen, or and also some of it is just the procrastination, just wanting to avoid it, because I'll do it later, you know. But then later never comes, and it's still there, and it's like, well, stop putting it off. Like, I had this note for myself for like a whole week. It was like to call this number, and I finally did it yesterday. And it was like, well, why was I putting it off? Because I thought it was going to be harder than what it was. I was afraid of hearing a no, you know, like the fear of like the unknown. Really what it came down to, I didn't know what the answer was going to be. So I didn't want to find out quite yet. But then when I did it and I found out good news, I'm like, oh, why did I put it off? It took me like 10 minutes, you know, to do the phone call. So,
Yeah. And you know, when you ask like, why do I put it off? A lot of us don't realize or forget that the reason why we tend to put things off and do it later is because we still have not learned the lesson. Yeah. The lesson of, you know, the choice that we all have, and we always tend to go for the easy choice. And then wonder why our life feels so freaking hard, because we're always doing the easy thing. And when we do the easy things, it feels comfortable.
Definitely.
Therefore, no growth has occurred. Therefore, everything stays the same. Therefore, nothing has changed, or very little has changed that actually makes an impact. And when we do the hard things, It feels hard. It feels uncomfortable. We change, we grow, we evolve. And whether we consciously know or not, it changes who we are. And the biggest fear, the primal fear that all of us carry when we change, and this is why not very many people are actually doing the work to change, is because the primal fear is, I'm going to be alone and I'm going to have no one. I'm going to be thrown out of this tribe and I am going to die alone. And it's scary and it's dark and it's true. That is how we feel. And that is what happens when we grow and outgrow our friends and our, friend circle, or you have one friend. It's a lot for anyone to take, because then everything you've had, everything and everyone you've known is now gone because you have grown so much. And now you're whatever age you are, you got to start fresh and you got to start new, and you have to find new friends and you have to do these things. They have to comes out, or you should. And I'm here to tell you that you don't have to do any of those things. You don't have to have any friends. You want to. You don't have to do it on your own. You maybe want to, right? And this is really just a process and a cycle of life that you have been going through since you were born. You go to JK, SK, grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12, college, university, coach training, uncoach training, whatever training, you are exposing yourself to new people. You change friends. Some, like in school, you were changing them with the season. You were changing them with the grade. Very few people still have friends from school. I don't. I don't have any friends from any kind of grade school or anywhere. I've changed my friends. And I can tell you that I survived it. Was it easy? Absolutely not. Was it worth it? Absolutely yes. Would I do it again? Hands down, I would do it again. I would just do it again better.
Yeah.
And once in a while, I gotta do that again because I continue to grow, as do you, Bethany, as do all of you watching. You all continue to grow. And therefore, the people in your life, if they don't continue to grow, then you will go different ways. Now, also, the other thing is that we all continue to grow in different ways. So we still can continue to go in different directions with the same people that we grow with. And there are ways around it as well. Everyone that grows in my circle, in my tribe, they're growing in different directions. They're not growing in the same way I am. They're growing like some of them are in very different directions, as I would say, but at the same time, they're not very different. We're just finding ways how our worlds connect. And how do I put it? And those that I continue to stay connected with are those that do not force anything on me one way or another, and hold no judgment. Because not everyone understands how I process things and how I would explain things and how I understand things. And I don't need them to understand that. I just need them to accept it and not judge me for it. Because one day they do understand it and they do get it. And they come to me and talk to me as if this was their realization, even though I know prior to that they had no understanding or no conversation of that. Now I know that it's not all me. I know that what I did was just give them a little bit of information, because even if I have an hour conversation with you here today, you're not going to remember everything. You're going to remember a little bit, and then the rest of it will become, probably maybe one of the things becomes your intuitive hits, your aha moments, your realizations. It's somebody else's seeds that have been planted in us, seeds that somebody else planted in me that I have claimed ownership of, but they weren't mine. Somebody else has given them to me. So therefore, that's what I do. And the moment that we just let go of the attachment of, I did that, I did that, I, look at me, I am awesome. The moment we let go of that, and we accept that maybe, just maybe, this person figured it out on their own, and we don't need to have any kind of ownership of them getting to that place. And that is when friendships can grow. And that is where a lot of us on our spiritual awakening journey lose a lot of people in our life, and it feels like it never ends. But I will tell you that it does end. It doesn't like end 100%, because we will always be acquiring new friends and losing old ones, one way or another, for different reasons. Some of them are just, it was their time, right? The clock ran out. So, and those are obviously the hardest ones. Luckily, I haven't gone through any of those yet. So, but all of this still connects back to forgiving and letting go, more than many of us can comprehend at this point. But in the friendships, this is also forgiveness and letting go. In order for you to maintain friendships that you want to maintain, you gotta figure out what it takes for you to forgive and let go. Because the more you hold on to things, especially in a relationship, the more poison that's going to be in there, right? You're continuing to drink that poison. That person might not be dying because you're drinking it, and even though you're hoping, but they're still feeling that poison, right? That energy still travels. So it's still poisoning you more than anyone, poisoning them, and poisoning the energy, and poisoning the whole relationship. And if you don't start to suck out that poison, and I say start by design and on purpose, because you got to start sucking out that poison that you're struggling to forgive, struggling to let go. It's a poison. And you got to continue to suck that poison out once in a while, right? That's where the realizations come through, moments, and your lessons. Really, that's what they are. You got to continue to learn and embrace those lessons, like Bethany was talking about before. Move around, do something, embrace it. Say, I'm an alcoholic, or I'm an addict to, I'm addicted to holding on to toxic energies, to toxic experiences. I'm an addict. At the end of the day, we're all addicts. I'm addicted to this and that, or this or that, whatever it is that you are addicted to. You need to start with acceptance first. Once you accept it, then you can start moving through it, which is changing your physiology. Then, okay, great. What can I do with it? And don't stop it. You got to keep going, keep going. And then you embrace the experience, right? Okay, here's what it is. Let's do this. We got this. Even in the days where you can't smile, put on, if you hold a smile for long enough, it will either turn into a frown or it will become a real smile. If it turns into a frown, that means you gotta release some stuff. Release it, right? And then you can do fake laugh. And when you do a fake laugh long enough, you will laugh.
Definitely.
Fake
Yeah,
it.
there was this one exercise of like breath work I did. It was like called ecstatic breathing. And after so many like breaths of like inhale, exhale, you let out some like fake laughs. And it really helped release, I noticed. And it's because it like those endorphins, you know, that the happy hormone that's released from laughter is there, and it's just like, oh yay, you know, your body's like, yes, this is what I wanted. I just wanted to feel good. Brings that feel good.
Yeah, it does. And how much would you pay to have that feel good feeling in your life every single day?
Well, for one, you don't, it's free. So you don't have to pay. You just got to push past the limit and go after it. Because
But if you could pay someone to bring that feeling and give you that feeling every day, how much would you pay?
I want a Kahoot. Where's my classmates?
You want a Kahoot?
Kahoot.
Kahoot.
I got first place.
Good job.
And I got 10 out of 12 questions wrong.
10 out of
12 questions wrong. I only missed 2.
Oh, you only missed 2 questions.
Yeah.
Good job.
I'm so proud of myself.
Good job. I'm glad.
Nice. That's awesome.
Look proud of yourself, right?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know what number I would pay, but I would, if there was a dollar amount and it was like, you have to pay, this is the amount, I would pay it. Like,
But
I'm not
like, I'm asking from a place like, if you had unlimited money, like if you had all the money in the world and the more you took, the more you got, it was just like that, right? Everybody dreams of that, right? Speaking to everyone. If that's where you were, because this is, I feel like a goal for a lot of us. We just want to be able to do anything we want and never worry about money. If you were there, and also a lot of people have huge misconceptions of, you know, rich people don't have sadness and they're always happy. Huge. Okay. A lot of rich people will pay a lot of money. And this is where, that's why I'm asking, if you were that person that had all the money in the world and you wanted that feeling that you're speaking about, what would you pay then? And you'd have to decide on the price.
Yeah, see, it's hard for me to come up with the price because I know it's free. Like, you don't have to pay for it. You have to work towards it. So I'm like, I don't know. Like, if someone, because at the same time, if it was something you could buy, I just don't think it'd be as genuine as like doing the work yourself. So maybe that's why my mind isn't coming up with a number, because I'm like, I mean, like the only thing I can think of is I would pay whatever the cost was. So whatever someone put a dollar amount on it, then yeah, I would pay that. But just coming off the top of my head, because of what I've worked through and experiencing and to where I am now, I just know that there's no dollar amount to it because it's priceless. Like at the same time, it's just really hard. It's hard for me to come up with a number.
Yeah.
Because like, yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up, that it's hard to pick a number. And the question, I realized, had an attachment to it. I guess not an attachment I'm like, why did this question come up? I just wanted to ask because I'm curious, right? A lot of us are talking about money. And a lot of us at this point are struggling with money or have a really bad relationship with money. And it's important for us to have some kind of a dollar amount on this feeling, emotion, experience that all of us want, that Bethany is talking about. And here's what I realized would be my great response to that question, and then to respond to Bethany's response, is that, Bethany, you said, whatever somebody tells me the price is, I will pay that price. And I instantly thought of all the coaches, life coaches out there that are helping people to have just that in so many different ways. Honestly, any problem that you want solved, that's why every coach, like almost any coach can help you with your life and your business, right? Maybe not exactly what you need to do step by step in your business or what you need to do step by step in your life, because you have all those answers for your life at least. But they have a set of tools, they have knowledge that will help you to get to that place where you can use that tool on your own and have that realization where it's free. Why would I pay anyone for that? Which is great. But in order to get to that place and start using it, all of us want that problem solved for us and don't want to do the work. So I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to those that want to do the work and are ready to pay whatever the price is. Obviously, nobody's going to ask for $1 million, but the reason why I'm saying it is this: whether it's me or another coach in your life, I want you to reach out to them and see if you are a fit. That's it. I'm not asking you to commit to any kind of plan or payment or a coach or anyone. Just see what's in it for you. Just go and have that conversation. What are you going to gain out of that transaction? Which is actually not a transaction. It's going to be a relationship, coach-client relationship, right? And not very many coaches end up having their client as a friend. Bethany and I are actually an exception because we do, yeah. So and actually there are many coaches that also coach their friend and family and are able to detach, and that's great. So that's why I want you to take the time to sit down, and because a lot of coaches also offer a free, I've been talking too much so my words are like all mesh now. They offer a free consultation call or onboarding call or discovery call, whatever call that they're offering that's for free. That's the call that you want to get on. And you want to see what's in it for you. Really, that's what it comes to at the end of the day. And then you'll see if it's for you and you are bought into that dream, your own dream. If you really bought into your dream and you want to work towards that dream, and that coach is the right fit for you, because you can quickly tell how they are going to be, right? And also, even for those of you that considering hiring someone, because I've had that with me as well, where somebody wants to hire me based on what they've seen in videos and stuff like that, and they assume that that's how my coaching style is. In a sense, somebody says something and then I come and I help. No, I don't help. I'm not going to give you a solution. I'm not going to do everything for you. What you're seeing on here, this is more of a consultant, right? Because this is not a coaching session. In a coaching session, a coach will be different. So maybe you can get a trial coaching session, right? I offer that as well. That's not something you're going to see on my website, but if you have a conversation with me, yeah, I will offer you a coaching session. Because if I put it out there, everybody's going to want a free coaching session, right? And anyways, so the whole point of that is that we ourselves, we can't put a price tag on, feeling balanced, feeling fulfilled, feeling joy, feeling happiness, feeling like we are unstoppable, feeling confident in ourselves and our abilities. That you can have that. You can also have that for free. You just need to do the research on your own, find path on your own. It's not going to be just one, it's going to be a few. There's going to be a lot of trial and error. You can do it on your own. You definitely can. I've done that on my own. until I couldn't no more, until I hired a coach. And it's important to start it on your own as well. It really is. Bethany, you started on your own as well before we were doing anything together, right? So it's important to start that journey on your own so you can see if it's even for you. Because you might not be ready, because it does involve you pausing for a little bit from your life that continues to go, and pausing for a little bit to work through whatever comes up for you.
Yeah.
And some people instantly say, I don't have time for that. And this is a huge response I see and hear on a daily basis. People are struggling. They're going through a lot of things. They have such a negative mindset. Their bully is the world's worst bully. And the response is, I don't have time for that. I don't want to deal with it. No, 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 I'm perfect. Everything is fine. And that's fine. You know why? Because they haven't beaten their head against a brick wall enough times to see a brick wall for what it is. And very few people are able to even realize that this wall can be walked around. Okay. And in order for that to happen, you need someone else to help you see it, someone else to pull you away from whatever brick wall you're hitting and say, and hold you back as you're trying to run back and hit your head on the wall. We've seen these. It's like, it's like, hold me back. I'm gonna give them, right? I'm gonna fight someone or whatever you've seen in the movies, right? But that's essentially what it is. You need that coach to hold you back and say, wait a minute, slow down, breathe, right? Breathe. Now, can you see the situation from here? Ah, why didn't I see it before? That's because you were too busy beating your head on the wall that you forgot to take a breath.
Yeah.
And you just needed somebody else to remind you enough times to take a breath, that then you're able to do it all on your own. That's another way of explaining what coaching is.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Where a coach is not here to say, okay, we've been on the brick wall, great, let's turn around and look what's behind and focus on what's behind, so then can one day I can turn you back around and we can look at this wall. Whereas a coach, that's more of like a therapist, right? Turning back and looking at analyzing, over analyzing things. Whereas as a coach, great, there's a brick wall. Yes, it has attachments to other things, which we work through, but it's not as deep as many people think. That part many people do on their own. But in the session, it's very minimal. And you're able to look at this brick wall for what it is, or at least start looking at it for what it is, and continue to uncover what this brick wall actually is, what it means to you. And usually in the contract, it's one wall that we're dealing with, because there's many bricks on that wall. Right. So yeah, that's why I feel like that question came through, because this is one of the things that I hear very often from haters as well, that say, nobody needs coaching. I'm just going to pay for coaching. That stuff doesn't work. Well, you haven't tried it.
Yeah.
Or you haven't tried it with the right match for you. And that's why you got to go test the water with that coach before you hire them, because what you see might not be what you get, right? Or you might also, here's another thing. Seeing people on video is one thing, but then having a conversation with them, it's a different experience. Because now it's personal. Now it's you and I. But when you're seeing them, someone, we can, oh, and I know I've done this myself, like one of my hairs is like sticking in my eye. One of my things was seeing someone and watching them and observing them and having a conversation with them, and they're different. I would not ever want to work with them because the conversation wouldn't fit. What they're saying is great. So maybe that person might be more of a mentor for you than a coach. And that's why it's important to have that little bit of time that every coach gives away for free to see if they are the right fit for you in your life and in your business. Yeah. So I just look at the time, I'm like, ooh, this half an hour felt super long. And now I see why it felt so super long.
It is what it is. Podcasts, they don't have a set time to them. I know we try to put a set time, but really I find the best ones they just go with the flow. And that's what we're doing here. We're just going with the flow. Whatever comes to us intuitively, we let it out because it's going to help others. And if we're just like, okay, well, it's been a half an hour. All right, we're done. We would have missed some of this really deep conversation that's really going to help someone. So everything works out in best case scenario. That's what I always tell myself.
It's like, it hasn't been 2 minutes.
Just do it.
No, because you and I we're gonna have a conversation. And Ethan,
Quickly.
this is not fair.
I want to play with my friend.
Yeah, but right now, you know the things that you need to do, and you're trying to take advantage of me while I'm going live and recording a video, and you feel like I'm not going to say no to you, and I'm just going to give in and let him have the password. No, Ethan, we will have a conversation.
Either way, after, you're not going to let me.
We will have a conversation after, okay? As I'm wrapping up. So anyways, family first, right? They come here and you gotta.
I'm sure you heard my little one in the background playing, doing his own thing.
You said family first.
Stop and wait. Because I dealt with you, now I'm going back and I need to finish and wrap up and say bye-bye.
I do have one last little thing I wanted to say. And it's like a mantra / affirmation. So it's a good closing thing on my end. And here it is. I witness myself and my emotions with loving awareness. I choose how I respond to all things. I choose to pause, breathe, and respond in new, healthy ways.
I like that. I heard choices.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. The choice is yours. Respond in the way that you are desiring to respond instead of responding in that emotional activated danger sense. Respond in that healthy, loving way. That's what I love about it. Yeah. And the choice is yours.
Yeah, and for many people, I know you might not feel like you have a choice, but that too comes with practice. And I have a question for you, Bethany, having said that. Before you and I started working together, how aware were you of your choices?
Not aware at all. I just really thought it was one way. Well, oh, poor me. Oh, I don't have it that way. There wasn't any choices. It's just, that's the way it is. But now I see that there are unlimited choices. There are so many choices out there. We just need to choose the ones that align with ourselves and help us expand.
Yeah. So what that is actually a program that most of us are running on, and that's why we feel like we have no choice, because in the program all the choices are already pre-programmed in there. And therefore, in order for us to have more choices, we need to reprogram the program that was programmed in us. Ethanator. Patient. That's it. Can you please just... Now we're definitely going to be having a conversation afterwards.
Yeah, learning.
We all need to do things more than once in order for things to sink in.
No.
This is no different than anything else. Okay. So I lost the train of my thoughts. It went choo, choo, choo.
Yeah.
I guess it's perfect timing as we're wrapping up anyways. So to close off, thank you, Bethany. This was a lot. And I really hope that it has helped and will continue to help people one way or another. There's a lot of information in here that is very beneficial to anyone. And definitely going to be having a conversation with my son. And now I'm definitely realizing that I am going to be continuing to work on that course I started working on last year. I'm going to put it together on the boundaries.
Ooh, that's awesome.
Boundaries for your life and business, everything and anything, because it's very important to have them in place and remember them and remind of them to everyone and everything, and especially ourselves, because those boundaries we cross all the time and we don't even realize it, how many boundaries we cross with ourselves, that we would not allow anyone else to cross those boundaries. I'm speaking to that bully inside of all of us. So anyways, thank you everyone, and thank you, Bethany.
Thank you.
Until next week.
Yes.
No promises on the short podcast, but yeah, we'll try to do our best to keep them to the half an hour. But this one, as always,
this one had a lot of like parts to it, I feel like, so this one, I think it went for the amount of time, that it was supposed to. Well, not necessarily supposed to, but
it was planned
that it was meant to, yes, like to get the point across, to really get that healing across. Mm-hmm. This was the time that we needed for it. So Here we are. And I want to say thank you to everyone that's watching. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you all, and I love you, girl.
Love you too. And I believe that this is the reason why we ourselves continue to work through this, because letting go and forgiveness and letting go of our old selves, like that's letting go as well, who we were, the things that we like, didn't like, all these things. Letting go is just such a huge umbrella that we continue to do this work for life work, right? And this is part of the legacy that we will also leave behind, who we were to who we became, and what do we do in between, right? And we get to actually share it with everyone once a week, healing the unicorn that continues to need healing so she can continue to show up as a unicorn. And yes, I'm talking to each and every one of you that's watching. We need that time to heal, right? In the silence, and most importantly, outwardly. We need to talk and communicate, because that's another form of healing, where I've witnessed people even choking when the healing comes through, and they're choking on whatever does not want to come out, and finally they're able to either gag it or swallow it or whatever was not coming through, and then express it, and then all of a sudden the healing process begins, right? Yes, you can answer, Emil. I'm almost done. The school is over, and my son found a button for my my lights, so everybody gets to see the 3 different options of colors.
Okay.
Make everyone busy. So thank you, everyone. You like what you hear and see? Follow Ethan, please. I'm making a joke out of it, but it's becoming a little too much. Okay? Enough is enough. Put down.
Yeah, I was about to say, you gotta put that foot down.
Yes. And then do not touch it. It's not funny. I'm laughing about it because I'm trying to make a joke out of it for everyone else who's watching and listening, who also has children and understand that this is how we deal with things as well. We need to make a joke out of it because trying to be polite. And then enough is enough, Ethan. It's not funny. Yes, I understand that you hurt your nose while you were under the table, tapping my foot, trying to get my attention. And I still stayed focused and continued saying what I was saying. Okay, so anyways, that's it.
All right. Until next week.
Listen, if this was the lesson you took away from the whole thing, then great. Do not cover the camera.
Well, we better get off here. You got this. Yeah.
Anyways, thank you, everybody. And until next week, my kids will still be alive. Don't worry. Yes, Ethan. Thank you. He's saying bye to everyone. And until next week. Bye, everybody. And bye, Bethany. Bye.